The 3-hour hike from Fira to Ia is an absolute must-do if you like outdoorsy activities. And mind that I use the word hike and not walk. I've seen many people massively underestimating the difficulty of the hike and make basic mistakes like wearing flip-flops or any other type of shoes which are not made to walk long distances. I've also seen many people not packing enough water or food. And of course the worst mistake of all, which is to start the hike at 10-11 a.m., which means you'll be in the middle of the hike at the hottest part of the day. And when I ask these people, how come you're so underprepared? Well, the answer is always the same. Oh, well, we heard that many people are doing this hike every day, so we assumed if everyone's doing it, how hard can it be? So let me set this straight once and for all. This is a proper hike. It's not super difficult, but it definitely isn't super easy either. Alright, so here we have the elevation graph of the hike. This is Fira and that's Ia. See how Ia is 2 times lower than Fira? That's the reason why people usually go in that direction. However, since you're gonna go up and down the entire time anyway, if it's more convenient for you to start from Ia, do it. It won't make a huge difference. Okay, so here we are at the bus terminal of Fira. That's not technically the trailhead of the hike, but a decent amount of you guys will arrive in Fira by bus, so I decided to include it in this video. From here, you're gonna walk up all the way until Hotel Atlantis, and that is the official trailhead. Now, see that in the back? Well, that's Ia village. That's your end destination. The first few minutes aren't that interesting because you have to walk through all the tourist shops of Fira. These are there, by the way, for cruise passengers, because Fira is where the cruise port is. Just be careful not to get lost. At this fork, keep going straight. Then over here you make a right and then immediately a left. Now keep walking up until you reach this little square with the palm trees, and this is the place I like to start the hike from. I feel like all these touristy alleys we just passed are kind of a waste of time. Now of course, if you came to Fira by bus or by car, in which case you would have parked also in the area of the bus terminal, well then you don't have a choice. You will need to walk this first section you just saw. But if you're staying in the upper part of Fira, then there's no need to walk all the way down to Atlantis Hotel and start walking back up again. Just start from here instead. Right here on the right we have the cable car station. If you're coming with a cruise ship, that's the building you'll have to enter to go down to the cruise port. Continue walking along the cliff edge. By the way, I did this hike in the late afternoon. I started 3 hours before sunset, so this gives you an idea where the sun is at the time of the day. When you reach this point, look back and enjoy the view. That's Fira town you see down there. And that village you see up there now, that's Imerovigli village, the highest town built on the Caldera cliffs. So the views from up there are even more epic than in Fira. This section now is very straightforward. You can't go wrong. Just keep going straight the whole way. When you reach this parking area here, keep left and continue. We're now entering Imerovigli village, and if you've watched my video on secret sunset spots, you'll know why this little arch here is important to remember. Continue straight, and when you reach this point, look left. This is an amazing spot for pictures. Now, remember the elevation graph? There are 3 hills in total to pass. Well, right now we're here at the top of the first one. At this spot here, you can take your last pictures of Fira, because once we turn that corner, we'll no longer see it. Alright, now, very important. You see this place? This is the last toilet break you can have, because after this, there are no more restaurants or bars until the end of the hike. This place sells all sorts of beverages. What I always order is one of their smoothies, which they make from fresh fruit in front of you. So if you want to use their toilet, my suggestion would be to get one of those. Just have in mind that they only open around 11 or 12 a.m. So if you decide to do the hike in the early morning, it won't be open. Now, be careful. Don't keep going straight here. You want to make a left and go down these stairs. And right there, straight ahead, that's Ia village. By the way, we're currently at 1/3 of the hike approximately. Alright, this is the most important part of this video, so listen closely. You gotta keep right at this fork. Anywhere else you have to keep left to stay close to the cliffs, But this fork right here, that's an exception. If you go left here, you'll end up hiking Skaros rock, and that's a whole separate hike to do. Alright, now this part is pretty easy. You keep going straight all the way, and when you reach this place, keep left. That's the general rule. And from this point, we're leaving Imerovigli village, so for the first time since the start of the hike, we're outside of any sort of village, which means that the trail gets a bit rougher. This is the reason why you should be wearing good shoes. Now you have this long downhill part, and at the bottom of it, you have these trash bins there. These are the first available ones in a while, so if you need to throw away anything, maybe your empty smoothie cup, well, this is your chance. Alright, so now we're here, about to start the second climb of the hike. Now, careful, here you have to keep right once again. Continue straight, and when you reach this point here, I like to look back, because this is one of the only spots on the island where you can see the contrast between the west coast and the east coast of Santorini. And seeing this, it's pretty easy to understand why the most popular beaches are on that side, much easier to access. Alright, now careful, here you have a decision to make. It's the only time during the hike you can actually decide which way you want to go. They both lead to the same spot, but they're very different, so let me show you. If you want the easier path, go right. As you can see, it's a pretty smooth trail, and it's a steady slope down, so very easy to walk. On the con side, you stop having the Caldera view for 15 minutes. Now let's go back and I'll show you the other option. After this cute little blue dome church, we have a fork and you want to go left. And from this point, as you can see, the trail in itself is not difficult, but you're walking really close to the cliff edge. And I have seen a few people getting a bit scared by this. And secondly, when you reach this point here, it gets a bit technical. You can see how this gravel is pretty loose, so the whole thing is very slippery and it's easy to end up on your butt. As we reach the bottom of the slope, see this path here on the right? Well, if you had picked the easy route, this is where you would have arrived from. Continue straight until you reach the road. This is where you can decide to stop the hike if you want. We're now at 60% of the hike, so if at this point you feel like you can't do the remaining 40%, well, there's a bus stop right here for the bus going to Ia. Mind that there's no bus going to Fira from here, so if you want to go to Fira, you'll hop on that bus to Ia, then stay on that bus as it reaches Ia, and then go to Fira with that same bus. Alright, let's continue the hike. This is the only section here which is on the road. Be careful, locals drive pretty fast, so keep as close to the rocks as you can. Now, if you ran out of water or food, this is your last option before starting the final climb of the hike. By the way, this place also makes a very nice homemade lemonade and freshly squeezed orange juice. Okay, now open your ears. Do not continue walking on the road. You have to keep left and go back on the hiking trail. I have seen so many hikers doing this mistake, and guess what? If you do that, you'll be on the road for the whole remainder of the hike, and you'll no longer be able to cut back to the hiking trail. So make sure to go left here. Alright, here we go for the final climb. This is usually where the legs start feeling heavy, I won't lie. At this fork, keep left, and from now on it's very easy. You can't go wrong because you're in the middle of nowhere, so there's only one trail. On windy days, this section will be a bit crazy, so hold on to your hat because it will fly away very easily. Also, it's not a bad idea to carry a sweater or a wind jacket in your backpack. While some parts of the hike are very hot, others can be the opposite. Don't forget that there are big altitude shifts throughout the hike, and your exposure to the wind keeps changing. So sometimes you'll have no breeze at all, sometimes you'll be blasted by the wind. Don't forget to look back every once in a while. The views from that section of the hike are really awesome. Keep climbing the hill until you reach this church right here. This church is another one of my secret sunset spots, so if you reach this point shortly before sunset time, you can stay there and enjoy a gorgeous sunset. Don't worry about the timing, it takes less than half an hour to go down the hill, so even if you watch the whole sunset up there, you'll still have some light to finish the hike. Alright, so now we're at the top of the final hill of the hike, so from now on it's only downhill. But keep focused, because this part of the trail is in a pretty bad state, loose rocks everywhere, so try not to twist your ankle so close to the end. Now here's another church with a very nice sunset view. So if you arrived at the previous church a little bit too early for sunset, you can come down to this one instead. Alright, keep going down. Here we're arriving on the parking area of the desalination plant. Because yeah, in case you didn't know, tap water in Santorini is desalinated seawater. And this building here is where it's all happening. Keep going straight. Now at this point we've entered Ia village, but don't expect to see the famous blue domes and stuff. All of this is at the very end of Ia, which you won't see in this video. Alright, and when you reach this point, guess what? You've made it! That's it, that's the end of the hike. Now, what do you do from this point? Well, you have a few choices. I'll show you how to get to the bus terminal of Ia from here, but if you want to take a cab, you can do it from this very spot, because you're on the road here. Now, if you want to take the bus back to Fira, you have two options. One, see this bus stop here on the left? Well, you can wait here, but on the right-hand side of the road, because this is a one-way road during the summer. And when the bus is coming, you can wave it down. However, it's not uncommon for buses to ignore you if you're standing at this stop. The bus might be full, or sometimes the driver just doesn't feel like stopping. So option number 2 is to walk for another 15 minutes to get to the actual bus terminal. And over there, you're sure you'll hop on the bus because it's a terminal, not a bus stop. So how do we get to the bus terminal? Well, you keep walking straight until reaching this fork here, where you keep left. This brings you on this very glamorous marble promenade. And trust me, at this point, you'll feel very much out of place because you'll be all sweaty in your hiking outfit while everyone else will be wearing their fanciest clothes, because that's what Ia is all about. Don't mind them, just keep going straight. And don't be surprised, the closer you're getting to Ia's old town, the more crowded it's gonna get. When you reach this square with the big church, make a right, then once again to the right, and bam, there you are. This is the bus terminal. Go and queue over there with the other people and hop on your bus. Now this hike in its entirety, or one of the smaller versions, is definitely one of the must-dos on the island in my opinion. Stuff that if you only have one day on the island, that's what you should be doing. If you want to know what other activities I consider to be essential, well, you can check out this video right here. And this one is about Santorini's beaches. The wind in Santorini can be really strong. And if you happen to go to a beach which is exposed to the wind, you're gonna have a bad time. So if you wanna know which beaches I recommend, you can check out this video. That's it for today. I hope you guys liked it. See you in the next one. Bye.